Hello everyone, welcome back to some more of The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Last time a great deal of things happened, as it was, let's see. Something really important actually happened, and it was that, as it turns out, the professor, that guy that killed all those people, wasn't actually Genshin Asogi. Oh, okay, he's not even here. It was, Clint Van Zeeks, Lord Barrack Van Zeeks' brother. And, of course, the government covered it up for some odd reason, I think, right? Yep. That is about it, I think? Sorry. I have a lot more energy than normal just because, like, I'm doing this in the middle of the day as opposed to the middle of the night, so, yeah. Also, I'm going to try and record just, like, everything up to the very end, or at least see how far I can go. So, yeah, I guess that's what it is. Anyways, I guess let's just continue. Yeah, let's just do it. That is everything. My lords, ladies, and gentlemen, I do hereby confess it was I who sired the concept of the Reaper. However, let me say in my defense, it was all for the preservation of law and order across the entire empire.
Long Strongheart did it? An unforgivable collection of crimes, but still.
All those who died were rotten to the core anyway. Oh. There is no one left now who can reveal the precise truth of what happened 10 years ago. Therefore, this trial can go no further. Now, I would like to entreat all those present. Beyond these four walls, nobody need know the truth. Even Her Majesty must be protected from this. I trust you all appreciate the importance of my request. It is, of course, for the good of the country. Can he do this? Can the trial really end now?
Hold it!
I have one last question. For the accused, Lord Van Zeeks.
What?
Of course, I know that you're a highly accomplished prosecutor. So, I find it hard to believe that you didn't have any doubts at all. That you never suspected your older brother.
Yes, the same thought occurred to me. It was only once, but yes, I couldn't say that I never had my doubts. My brother's sense of justice was extremely strong. Perhaps too strong, I observed. At that time, there were members of the aristocracy who were bleeding the country dry for their own gain. And since they were nobles, they were untouchable. And for my brother, it was a source of great turmoil. And coincidentally, at the same time, the professor began his terrifying reign. During the time of the professor killings, my brother did not appear to be himself. And that made you suspect? Yes. But it was only once, not more. Only once? Really? Clint wasn't the culprit. That was my conclusion at the time. And I still believe that now. Do you have any evidence to support that idea? The third victim was the Lord Chief Justice at the time. It was he who had recognized my brother's potential and trained him as a prosecutor. No matter what the circumstances, it is unthinkable that my brother could have killed his friend and mentor. That will do. Neither Clint Van Zeeks nor Genshin Asogi still walk this earth. However much we debate this matter now, we cannot hope to reach a conclusion.
But...
There are only 2 extant pieces of evidence from the time. The woebegone ring that acted as the incriminating evidence to condemn Genshin Asogi, and the 3-page last will and testament penned in black ink and left behind by the man.
No. That's...
Yeah, there's only... What are you talking about? The wretched truth of what happened is exactly as I have explained. Later today, I will present myself at the Ministry of Justice for whatever sanction is deemed appropriate. That is all. Court is adjourned.
Objection!
Thank you, Kazuma. Me? If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have made this 11th hour discovery. What discovery? My lord, I'm afraid I must insist the trial continues.
I beg your pardon?
As the court has been reminded today already, we must stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth. And to that end, one particular statement made by somebody in this courtroom moments ago revealed a very subtle contradiction.
What contradiction?
But all I did was ask the accused one simple question. Well, it began with Lord Van Zeeks and his recollection about his brother, but Lord Strongheart didn't permit the defendant to speak at length.
I merely pointed out that we can draw no further useful conclusions here. Where on earth is the contradiction?
One of them definitely just said something contradictory. Time to identify who. It's Strongheart, obviously. It was Lord Strongheart, I'm sure of it. Something he said was slightly off. Come on, Ryunosuke. Think back over his words. Find the problem. Yep, let's see here. Lord Strongheart, would you care to explain?
Explain what, counsel?
Among the statements you made just a few moments ago, something you said was inconsistent with a certain piece of evidence we have.
Inconsistent?
And whilst an inconsistency remains, the defense has a right to pursue an explanation.
Ryunosuke,
What?
let me warn you about the statements you're making, counsel. They may very well prove fatal. You claim my words to contain a contradiction? With which piece of evidence, I ask you?
Yeah, it's the Asogi papers.
Take that!
This here is the will left behind by Mr. Asogi. The 2-paged will.
What?
Yet, moments ago, your precise words were the 3-page last will and testament. Ah! Could it be that originally there was a 3rd page?
For a moment, I thought perhaps you'd identified something worthwhile, but it's a mere trifle, I see.
A trifle?
Governor Kaiden.
Eh? What can I do for you, sir?
You were present when the Japanese man penned his last will and testament.
Aye, I was there for sure. I remember the black wear 'em like scrolls to this day. And I'm quite certain, my lord, that there was a 3rd page at the time. What? Yeah, a whole 3rd page no one thought to mention? Really? Only the first 2 pages were the actual will, though. If I mind correctly, the third was a message to his lad back in Japan.
For legal purposes, we required only his will.
And we wouldn't have wanted any uncomfortable words about Britain to get back to Japan, eh? So it was decided that the 3rd page oughtn't to be sent.
Objection!
Yeah, you didn't even send it. How dare you make that decision? I had a right to know what it said, to hear my father's final words from to me.
The courtroom is no place for sentimentality, counsel.
As it happens, I have the 3rd page of the document with me here now. My father's message?
It will be given to you at the end of these proceedings.
It'll be too late once the trial is over. We need to know what it says now. Even the slightest thing may give us a vital clue. My lord, the defense calls for Genshin Asogi's last words to his son to be read out loud before the court now.
Your request is denied. The inevitably maudlin words can be of no consequence now.
Objection!
The prosecution agrees. The court should know the contents of that message. Every possible piece of evidence must be thoroughly examined.
Very well then. Governor Kaiden, you will read the 3rd page of the document for all present to hear.
Yes, sir. Only, I should point out, my lord, that I cannot actually read Worm language.
This beautiful handwriting? Shame on you, Barry. If I could be of some assistance here, I would be happy to translate the words into English for the court.
Father.
You're still here, are you, Dr. Mikotoba? Naturally. I consider myself a member of the judiciary, albeit a lonely one. But perhaps I should quietly withdraw after I've translated Genshin's message. Your cooperation is much appreciated. Kazuma, the truth is shrouded in darkness, a darkness only our clan's great soul can pierce. Mighty Karuma, twist thy head and watch them fall, all thy mortal foes. That's the end of the message, it would seem.
A haiku poem? Twist thy head? Father.
What is Karuma?
The name of the Asogi clan's famous sword. A razor-sharp blade known to all, passed down for generations. It embodies the Japanese spirit.
It's not known to me.
It's the katana sword that was submitted as evidence earlier in these proceedings. The one worn by the prosecution counsel when he confronted Inspector Gregson. Interesting, you say?
All these procrastinations are beginning to try my patience. Adjournment of this court is long overdue.
Before that, a lovely little riddle to be solved. In Genshin Asogi's last statements, he says something rather interesting. The truth is shrouded in darkness, one that only our clan's great sword can pierce. Mighty Karma, twist thy head and watch them fall, all thy mortal foes. Oh, that's actually a sound? That's interesting. Anyways. It actually took me a while to figure this out. It's, So, what he said was that only the great sword Karma can pierce, the darkness. Something to note is that, twist thy head Well, what is the head of a blade? The hilt. As in, I guess the very bottom? Well, I mean, if... I say bottom, but if the blade is supposed to be wielded in this way, I guess this would be the top and this is the head. So... Mighty Karma, twist thy head and watch them fall, all thy mortal foes. That's the proper way to use the sword, isn't it? Maybe I should try it. It hurts my neck, that's the trouble. Mr. Naruhodo, if I might make a suggestion. I think perhaps it doesn't mean your head. Oh. I once studied the history and development of the katana some time ago. And as I'm sure you're probably aware, the sword's head is the part at the very end of the hilt. It's written as head in Japanese, but it's pronounced as kashira, I believe. Kashira? So Mr. Usogi's words really mean twist the butt of the hilt? You don't... Oh wait, was that... Hold on, was that a Japanese thing? Like, it's written as kashira, which can mean something else? Is that how you're supposed to figure it out? I mean, it said twist thy head, so I guess it is a riddle, but like... I don't know. I never actually got these Japanese things. Seriously, I'm trying to study Japanese, but it's like one word pronounced a certain way can mean something entirely different depending on the way it's written. They're just said the same way. I mean, there are some words in American English like that, but still. Yeah? Look what's inside it. Is that a tightly wound sheet of parchment that somehow survived for 10 years? Scarlet ink! It's written in scarlet ink! I penned this, my last will and testament, in the final moments before my inevitable and willing death. This is it, isn't it? Mr. Naruhodo, look at the signature at the end. Clint Van Zeek's, and the date, 10 years ago, on that fateful night. So for 10 years it's been silently concealed inside Karama, and nobody knew. Actually, yeah, wouldn't you hear... Well, it's paper, but wouldn't you hear it, like, jostling around once you swing the blade? I mean... Oh, well. The last will and testament of Lord Clint Van Zeek's. Wait. Oh my goodness. Look at this. This is unbelievable. This is the trump card? Actually, wait, let me look at the blade again, 'cause I think you get an accolade for that. Twist thy head and watch them fall. Certainly had away with words. Thought up an indigenous hiding place. If over the years, perhaps, the duties of a so kind of actually called for such inventiveness. Huh. Oh, I guess I must have did this already. Whatever. Let's continue. Actually, let me read this, actually. Is it just the same thing, or... No. Okay. Anyways. Oh, these progress... I read this already. As the presiding judge, I have been accommodating as possible of the will of the courtroom. However, despite all that, no new information has come to light. In pursuit of the justice, Lord Clint Van Zeek tragically lost all sense of morality. When he murdered his former mentor, clearly he was already devoid of his normal faculties.
Objection!
How dare you! I refuse to believe that of my brother. Too much time has passed. We cannot ever hope to know more than we do now. Especially since the alleged will that he penned in his final moments appears to have been lost forever. Lord Strongheart, you appear to be in something of a hurry to wrap things up. I wonder why. We've heard you state time and time again during these proceedings that everything you did was in the interests of the protecting British law and order. And I stand by that. Without the Reaper.
What was that? Sorry, let me see something.
Okay, sorry about that. I heard a loud noise. I wanted to go check it out.
Now then.
Without the Reaper, we could never have achieved the reduction in crime that capital has seen.
Objection!
What about Inspector Gregson then?
And Dr. Wilson. They were no criminals. You used them to achieve your ends, and then you had them killed.
However you dress it up, there was nothing fair or just about that. Lord Strongheart, what exactly is it that you're hiding? Dr. Mikotoba, were you not to quietly withdraw after the translation of your former associate's will? In this courtroom, no argument carries weight unless it is supported by evidence. And it would seem that the defense has no more evidence to present. In which case, I hereby order all discourse from these proceedings to be struck from the record. This is my last chance. Mr. Naruhodo! I have to present some decisive evidence now, or it's all over. But can I?
God, yes, we can.
Wait, my lord. As it happens, the defense does have evidence. What? That would be absurd! There is nothing of relevance from that time.
Objection!
It's high time that you realize something, my lord. This gentleman has an uncanny habit of producing evidence at the final hour that had escaped everyone else's attention. Nonsense.
What is it, Ryunosuke? What do you have?
I dare say, the final, decisive piece of evidence that will reveal the whole truth about this rotten tale.
How? How can you?
Decisive? Well, it would appear there's no escaping it now, my lord. Let it be so, then. Present whatever you think you have that can settle this decade-old enigma, if you're capable. What exactly is this evidence that the defense claims to be so decisive?
Obviously, it'd have to be Clint Van Ziek's will.
Take that!
There is a single piece of evidence that can clarify what really happened 10 years ago. The last will and testament of Lord Clint Van Zieks. Oh, wonderfully astute observation, I'm sure. But, in case it had escaped your notice, the document was lost long ago. That's right. It was. Only, I have it right here. Discovered just moments ago. Impossible! That can't be! Everything that's happened comes back to this will. This document is the key that will unlock the entire mystery. My brother's lost will and testament? Where did you find that? It was rolled up inside this.
Inside Karuma?
That ultimate weapon that Genshin Asogi has obtained has lain undisturbed in the hilt of the sword all these years. Just waiting for the right time to emerge and reveal the truth. The signature and the seal certainly look official. It's true. It's my brother's handwriting. There can be no mistake. I forbid the contents of that document from being read out. Do you hear me? I strictly forbid it.
Objection!
You can't do that, my lord. This document could explain everything. That document could literally destroy the meaning of justice in this country. I demand that you hand it to me at once. Why? What are you trying to hide? Could it be that you already know what's written on this page? What are you implying? Court is adjourned with immediate effect. Clear the courtroom.
Objection!
Do that, my lord. And you'll suffer a fatal blow as Lord Chief Justice. I beg your pardon? Forcibly ending a trial without good reason, and not at any trial, a closed trial by order of Her Majesty the Queen. Ooh. To defy the monarch's will is treason. Yeah, you gonna die if you, end this right now. Lord Clint Benedict, we did Pennywill that day. Read it out, now! You have a right to house in that realm. All right, and I do to you. Well, well, my lord. It would rather appear as though proceedings aren't going to go quite as you'd hoped. You fools. Go ahead, Ryunosuke. Read it. The prosecution gives its full support. Very well, then. Oh, for God's sake. No! I pen this, my last will and testament, in the final moments before my inevitable and willing death. The hour is 11 p.m., and I sit at my writing desk in my office. My good friend Asogi stands at my shoulder. He has expressed his intent to invoke the dying ritual of the duel, that I may depart this world with honor, an honor of which I am utterly undeserving. The Japanese are a truly merciful people. I, Clint Van Zieks, Lord of the Manor of the Van Zieks Estate, hereby confess to the following. I am the killer who has come to be known in society as the Professor, guilty of 4 counts of murder. And we're back. Okay, sorry, I paused the recording, I didn't realize where we were. I think we were right here, so... yeah. Alright then. Sorry if I read this before. I might see, I don't know. I, Clint Van Zieks, Lord of the Manor of the Van Zieks Estate, hereby confess to the following. I am the killer who has come to be known in society as the Professor, guilty of 4 counts of murder. I will not here discuss the corruption rife among the aristocracy, which is to me, as one of them, so apparent. However, 6 months ago, I took the life of a member of the House of Lords at the heart of the depravity. A demon who habitually sacrificed the common man to further his own interests, abusing his position of power. The law is impotent against such vile avarice. Only a fellow demon can rid society of this menace. That demon was my quarry, upon whom I willingly set my great hound. But though I am a hunter of some experience, I am a poor felon, it seems. My guilt was at once recognized by another, and I became subject to his extortion. He held over me the threat of exposing my wicked crime to my beloved wife and brother. Under that threat, I have done this man's bidding for months now, killing those he demanded I kill. As I watched my former mentor perish before my eyes at the jaws of the hound I commanded, I realized that I had lost the last shred of decency within me, and sunk to the level of a wild beast. There is no path back to the light. Be it I or my dear friend Asogi who dies this night, I am eternally damned. To my extortioner, male Strongheart, may you feel the jaws of the beast at your throat every time you swallow.
Yeah, bro, you were extorting the man?
So now we know. Yes, Clint Van Ziest was a murderer, but somebody was directing him and naming his victims. His extortioner, Lord Male Strongheart. It was you.
Lord Strongheart, a moment ago, you claimed that what the court has just heard could destroy justice in this country. But you weren't trying to protect justice at all. All you were trying to do was conceal the secret of your true nature and the countless lives you've sacrificed up till now.
It just didn't make sense to me that the third victim, the former Lord Chief Justice, was my brother's benefactor and a man of lofty principles. As I said, Clint had no possible reason to kill the man.
But you did, didn't you, Lord Strongheart? To eliminate the man who stood between you and the office you'd set your sights on. So you used your own hunting dog, Lord Clint Van Ziest, to take him down.
It had to be done. London's unsavory shadows are deep, and the arm of the law fails to reach their depths. Crime must be cut off at the roots, but the Lord Chief Justice at the time couldn't see that. He was weak. Lofty principles, you say? Tantamount to cowardice, if you ask me. Which is why I took his place, in order to fight the crime he was allowing to spread like wildfire.
By murdering the man?
The Reaper, the Professor, the name makes no difference. As I've explained countless times already, it was done for the furtherance of law and order in London.
Objection!
Are you going to legitimize the murder of my father now, too?
Genshin Asogi. Well, that was unfortunate. I'd fully intended to send him back to Japan as we'd agreed.
I don't believe you. It was you, wasn't it? You killed him.
No, it wasn't me who took your father's life.
Then who?
On the night following his mock execution, I went to Lowgate Cemetery at 3 in the morning with Jigoku.
Judge Jigoku?
There had to be a collaborator on the Japanese side to manage Asogi's treatment after his repatriation. Jigoku had fierce ambition. It made him easy to manipulate. 10 years ago, after he stood trial for the destruction of the witness stand, I had words with him. When I told him the position of Minister of Foreign Affairs could be his, he couldn't agree fast enough.
Seishiro, you fool.
As you know, Asogi escaped the prison in a closed casket and was subsequently interred. We intended to dig him out of his grave before he ran out of air. But sadly, all did not go to plan.
Ah, Enoch Drebber.
There was an unexpected visitor to the cemetery with his own ideas about digging up graves. A man who witnessed what nobody was supposed to see.
Enoch Drebber.
Of course, I knew grave robbers frequented London's cemeteries. But that grave on that particular night... Blast. If people find out the convict wasn't really executed, the scandal will rock the very foundation of the Empire.
Then what do we do?
Shoot him, Mr. Jigoku. Shoot Asogi at once. He can't live now this has happened. He has to go.
What are you talking about? You had an agreement. You promised him he could return to Japan.
Everything has changed now. If the truth got out because of this, both of us will be finished. Forever.
Come on, Jigoku. Do it. Pull the trigger. Shoot! Jigoku shot Asogi from the shadows. The grave robber was so close. The blood sprayed over his coat. He fled as fast as his legs would carry him. Then Jigoku and I put Asogi's body back into the grave from which he'd just emerged. When I later learned of the waxwork modeler's presence at the scene as well, I made her swear to two things. Never to remove the professor's mask, and never to speak of the events that night. And with that, the secret was buried, along with Asogi's corpse. So, now you know what really happened in No Gate Cemetery that night.
Jeez. That is insane.
It was Jigoku, your Japanese acquaintance, who killed the Sogi in the end, you see. He claimed to be the man's friend, but when push came to shove, he pulled the trigger.
Just before Mr. Jigoku left the courtroom earlier, he said that the assassin exchange proposal was a demand from his British counterpart, not a request.
So you coerced him too? Using what happened in the graveyard?
By that time, Jigoku was Minister of Foreign Affairs negotiating internal treaties with Britain. You can imagine what would have happened if it came to light he murdered a compatriot 10 years earlier. He would have lost everything. I merely reminded him of that.
How do you sleep at night?
These past 10 years, I've fought tirelessly with the darker recesses of London's criminal underworld, and I've used whatever means necessary to ensure that justice prevails and law and order reign supreme.
Objection!
That couldn't be further from the truth. The fact is, you haven't fought crime at all.
How dare you! I saved Clint Van Zieks from dishonor in his death.
Objection!
Whilst behind the scenes, you systematically buried anyone who stood in your way.
And then, you made my father take the blame.
It was unavoidable. It was the only way to protect our justice system and public order.
Let's not forget the others you had killed as well. Setting the defendant up as the Reaper to cover up the truth behind the murders of countless more.
That's enough! Do you have any idea of the conniving that led to the acquittals of those wretched criminals? We have to fight fire with fire. Our courts can't function without a Reaper. Can't you see all I've done for this country? This has been my struggle.
Objection!
You've done nothing. It's Lord Van Zieks who worked tirelessly and justly in court, whilst enduring the disgrace of the Reaper name.
And Inspector Gregson, fraught with anguish for having sullied his hand through a desire to do the right thing. Not to mention Genshin Asogi, who risked his life going in pursuit of the truth you tried to hide. No, the darker recesses of London's underworld were largely filled by you.
You little... When will you get it through your thick skulls?
That it was all for Queen and country? I'm tiring of that excuse. You've consistently twisted the truth for bargaining power to make others do your bidding. Nothing more.
People who willingly twist the truth and coerce others have no right to call themselves part of the judiciary. I strongly suggest you don't ever talk of justice again.
Well, dear me, my good fellow, dear me. A well-deserved round of applause, I think, for a quite marvelous performance.
What are you talking about?
Those delightfully grave expressions, that beautifully pronounced Queen's English. Really, our friends from the Far East are quite the picture of industriousness.
You fraud. Keep your mockery.
Please, don't misunderstand. It really is exactly as you've both said. What are you trying to say? I have occupied the darker recesses of London's underworld and, how did you put it? Done nothing? I confess it's a little embarrassing to have it pointed out quite so starkly, but yes, I really have done nothing, which means I can be indicted for nothing. No?
What?
It's true. Personally, I have committed no crime. I have merely been surrounded by fools, who've acted very rashly indeed.
Objection!
You can't get away with that. You consistently preyed on people's weaknesses.
And what? Threatened them? Are you sure it wasn't just bargaining? I would like to address all the good lords and ladies and gentlemen of the jury here present. You all know of these darker recesses in our great capital, and deep down I believe you also know that to fight those who dwell there requires at least some of us to occupy the darkness ourselves. So, let me appeal to your good sense now. Consider the situation with me. If this catalogue of horrifying revelations were to become common knowledge among the 6 million inhabitants of London, what might happen? To learn that the infamous murderer of royals and nobles was a respected member of the aristocracy himself. The evidence that was fabricated in the scapegoat's trial amid secret negotiations with prosecutors to effect a jailbreak. That the Reaper of the Bailey was an organized group of assassins managed by a Scotland Yard inspector. And finally, that it was all masterminded by the Lord Chief Justice himself.
If the general public of Britain knew the truth, all faith in the police and the prosecutor's office would be completely lost, without doubt. Public order in the capital will completely break down. We'll be cast back to the lawless days of last century.
Precisely, as it was 100 years ago when 1 in 10 of the population were criminals. Think what we've accomplished since then. A public policing force, a comprehensive set of laws. And if we want to continue to protect this new era of law and order, I say again, we must at times occupy the darkness ourselves. We have successfully identified and apprehended the man responsible for taking Inspector Gregson's life. That is all that was expected of this trial. All these other matters that have been discussed will be eliminated from the minutes of these proceedings, in the interest of preserving law and order. And to protect Her Majesty the Queen, of course. Well, my lords and ladies and gentlemen, what say you?
There's a point.
Things Lord Strongheart have done are quite unforgivable.
But on the other hand,
Isn't it our duty to maintain law and order in the capital?
can't deny the truth. The threat of the Reaper over the years has done wonders for the crime rate. And by fair means or foul, it's all thanks to Lord Strongheart.
Yeah, this is the whole thing of jury trials. Just rally them onto your side and you're not guilty.
Seriously.
Are you hearing this? This is the will of the British judiciary?
For your rousing response, friends, I express my heartfelt gratitude. Therefore, in accordance with the overwhelming wishes of the court, The record shall be erased. You have to respect the man's ability to turn a situation to his favor. Lord Strongheart really is a master of manipulation.
You've conclusively proven his guilt. Yet still he manages to evade justice. I just don't know what we can do.
Rinosuke.
It looks like the trial really is going to come to an end now. I'm almost out of options, I think. There's really only one path left open to me. Well, that's easy. Because we got one little piece of evidence left. Yes, as I know only too well, the only thing that carries any weight in the court is hard evidence.
But, Mr. Naruhodo, what evidence is this used at this stage in the trial?
I have an idea. I don't know whether anything will come of it, but if there was ever a time for using this particular item we have among the evidence, it's now. Has to be. After all, we got nothing else to use at our disposal. This is our final weapon.
Take that!
Oh my! Yes, Mr. Sholmes asked if you had that with you earlier.
We've exposed all Lord Strongheart's wrongdoing now. I have no doubt that Mr. Sholmes had already deduced exactly how the truth would unfurl. So I think it must be time for the great detective to take center stage, don't you?
Yes, absolutely. Let's take the hair by the ears then, and heave.
Alright, here goes. Heave! Ow, 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 ow! My dear fellows, must I remind you every time, a gentle tug will suffice.
Mr. Sholmes,
You're looking in quite the wrong direction, Mr. Naruhodo, because I'm over here.
Ah! Mr. Naruhodo, he's...
Excuse me?
It's Mr. Sholmes.
What is this? Whole hologram? I wasn't expecting you back, Sholmes. Delighted to be here again, Lord Strongheart. What is the meaning of this? Bailiff, seize him. Put that man in irons. This is a closed court. You've been warned once already, man. What the? Wait, we can't get hold of him, my lord. Whole hologram in the, 19th century? We'll just go right through him. I'm afraid your efforts are wasted, you see. The great detective, as you see before you, is composed of entirely light and shadow, an image, if you will. Mr. Naruhodo, I must congratulate you on your fine deductions. Mr. Sholmes? What on earth is... Are you familiar, I wonder, with the invention known as the telephone? Well, yes, I hear that some public telephones have been installed recently in Tokyo.
The sound of the speaker's voice is converted to an electrical signal and transmitted instantaneously to another place.
Quite. Sounds are transmitted. So could not images keep them company, I mused. Iris and I did some modest experimentation to develop such a device specifically for this very day.
Modest experimentation, Mr. Sholmes? What a modest description.
And, somewhat incidentally, I thought we might just as well transmit an entire scene. Somewhat incidentally, Mr. Sholmes? Now you're just being immodest. Do you mean to say you're not actually here, Sholmes? Ah, I knew my trusty partner would have no trouble grasping the concept. Except he's grasping the stand to steady himself after your shock arrival.
Poor father. I would have hoped he might have been forewarned, being the great detective's great partner.
Leave my courtroom at once, or get out. Get out, or I swear to you. Dear me, you on the other hand, Lord Strongheart, appear to have a very poor grasp of the situation. Allow me to reiterate, I am not here, which would, I hope, lead naturally to one asking,
Where exactly are you?
The very question I was awaiting. I am at present enjoying the air in a rather splendid garden. A garden? Not just any garden, do you understand? A garden at Buckingham Palace. What? You can't be. Buckingham Palace? What's Buckingham Palace, Mrs. Otto? I've never heard of it. Do you ever read the news, Mr. Naruto? Mr. Jones? Is Iris with you there? Ah, well now. Iris is currently enjoying some tea. With Her Majesty. Her Majesty? Not just any Her Majesty, you understand? Her Majesty, the Queen of the British Empire. What?
Yeah? So while we're in this whole trial, you're just going and having some nice tea and crumpets with Queen Victoria herself?
Really, Sholmes? Really?
What on earth is all this about? Buckingham Palace is Her Majesty the Queen's residence in London, Mr. Naruhodo.
Order. Order in the court. I demand immediate silence. Her Majesty the Queen? You can't be. I mean, no. This is some sort of unforgivably distasteful trickery by a third-rate detective. That's all.
Unforgivably distasteful trickery? What an odd description. A closed court session attended by elite members of the judiciary is a rare event. I presume that Her Majesty would be more than a little curious about the proceedings. So, I decided to show her everything from start to finish. Huh? You showed her? Indeed. By dint of Herlock Sholmes' remote cinematograph.
You meddling.
This is some kind of nightmare. Just as I appear to be standing before you, regaling with you the talk of my latest invention, no doubt you inferred that the reverse is also true. You don't mean... Her Majesty has seen and heard every moment of the proceedings. I assume there would be no objection. After all, every trial in this country is conducted under the auspices of Her Majesty, as you know. Yeah, we're on the big screen to her.
You...
I confess I am quite impatient to hear Her Majesty's opinion about the unforgivably distasteful trickery from which you've been engaged over the past 10 years.
No, I was merely...
Oh, so sorry to keep you all waiting. Vicky and I had so much to talk about. Iris, there you are. In fact, I have a little message here from Her Majesty.
A message?
Well then, if everyone is sitting comfortably, ahem. Forthwith and with immediate effect, all authority previously for its male Strongheart is hereby revoked forevermore. Furthermore, he will be prosecuted for crimes against his country in a public trial by jury in the coming days. So, it seems that Her Majesty doesn't believe we need to fight fire with fire. Justice in this country needn't be administered from the shadows at all. Male Strongheart. The darkness you fostered to conceal your despicable actions these last 10 years is a thing of the past now. After today, your brand of law and order has no future, because no longer are you the Lord Chief Justice. In the eyes of the law and of Her Majesty the Queen, you are nothing but a criminal. Here it comes.
Adjourned! 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 Oh. No. No. Lord Clint Van Zeeks left a will in which he confessed to everything. When those words came out of Asogi's mouth, it deranged me completely. I knew I must do anything and everything in my power to contain the situation. But I couldn't find the damn document. I searched his cell, but it wasn't there.
Which precipitated the jailbreak plot, I presume? What do you mean?
The need to obtain that will was all-consuming. I was sure that if I facilitated Asogi's escape, he would emerge with the will somewhere on his person. But, despite searching his limp body in the cemetery that night, it still eluded me. It never even crossed my mind that it was concealed in the sword's hilt.
What pains me now is that my brother left this world without a word to me.
I'm sorry, Lord Van Zeeks. In point of fact, I think perhaps that isn't the case. Sorry?
How can that be?
There is more to his last will and testament.
What?
As I confront the prospect of my demise, I feel bitter regret for my younger brother. Barak, you have always looked up to me, and now you follow in my footsteps to become a prosecutor. It is my fervent wish that my unspeakable deeds should not hinder your advancement. I ask not for understanding, nor for none could understand my depravity. I ask only for forgiveness. Asogi is a fine detective and a hunter worthy of respect. He has agreed to honor my final two wishes. The first is that this document survives. The second, I cannot commit to paper. I have confessed my sins to my wife. May she find resolution in my death. With my eternal gratitude to my Japanese friend, I rest my quill. Clint Van Zeeks.
Clint.
Male Strongheart. You colluded with Seishiro Jigoku in a criminal plot so immense it spanned the oceans. And you cold-heartedly murdered all those who knew the truth about what happened 10 years ago. But why did you set about that now, a whole decade later?
To ascend to the very peak. These last 10 years made me realize being the Lord Chief Justice wasn't enough, short of becoming Her Majesty's Attorney General. I could have no real power to affect the changes needed in this country. And for that promotion, I needed to ensure no remnants of the past remained.
How could you?
I like everything to run smoothly, in the exact manner that I prescribe, like a well-oiled machine. And I was just a step away.
And for your ambition to succeed, did you even bother to count the number of brilliant people you had killed?
Mr. Reaper, are you not forgetting something?
Such as...
You very much adopted your blues or prosecutor like demeanor in the proceedings now. But the reality of the situation is that you are the defendant in this trial.
Ah.
However, the presiding judge would appear to have fallen from the bench, as it were. May I suggest, therefore, that we entrust the final education to an old friend?
My lord.
As a member of the judiciary, I have been following the proceedings from the gallery. And I must say, I shan't ever forget the extraordinary battle between good and evil that I witnessed here today.
Here we go.
The darkness that has blighted justice in our land these past 10 years has at last been dispelled. Thanks, in no small part, to the efforts of a bright young star from the east. Defense Counsel Naruhodo.
Yes, my lord.
On behalf of everyone here present in the Old Bailey, I give you my heartfelt thanks.
You're too kind, my lord. The first time I faced you in court, just under a year ago now, I had the faintest of intimations that if British justice is so warped and twisted over its long history, was finally to no change. This might just be the man to do it.
What?
But at the time, I wouldn't allow myself to acknowledge that possibility. I couldn't overcome my hatred of the Japanese after the circumstances of my brother's death. Mr. Naruhodo, allow me to apologize for countless discourtesies on my part. You are a lawyer of boundless talent.
Oh, Lord Van Zeeks. When I first arrived in Great Britain, I was literally a nobody. Certainly not a lawyer. The truth is, my fortunes have entirely been made by the miraculous people I've met. My best friend, Kazuma Sogi, who led me here to Britain in the first place. My loyal and ever-patient judicial assistant, Miss Susato, who helped me study to become a lawyer. The brilliant Lord Van Zeeks, who never failed to challenge his Nipponese rival. And not to mention, the exceptional master of logic and reasoning, who showed me the true art of deduction, Mr. Sholmes. Haha, saving this for last, Mr. Naruhodo. What a relief. I'm well aware that without these people's help and support, I wouldn't be where I am today. The truth is a guiding light that always leads to happiness. I have lived by that principle for a long time now, but actually, it's not true. The truth can also cause great pain, sometimes even leave people on the brink of despair.
And for that reason, there are those who feel the need to hide the truth, who do it instinctively even.
But as soon as we allow our eyes to settle on something other than the truth, the darkness takes hold, and from there it grows, until eventually it makes us blind to the guiding light of the truth altogether. So that's why it's my belief that we must all resolve never to avert our eyes from what is just and true. So that we can continue to walk the straight and narrow path ahead. Well, I must excuse myself now. But before I go, Mr. Naruhodo, let me compliment you on your grand opus. What? Without your beautifully composed case against Lord Strongheart, Her Majesty would have been unable to act. Thanks to you and your fellows, the haunting undertones of corrupting Britain's justice system have been silenced. Thank you very much. So, until our paths cross again somewhere.
Well then, it would appear that this long trial has finally come to an end.
My apologies for any anxiety caused, my lord.
I'm quite sure we shall meet again here in the courtroom before long, Prosecutor Barak Van Zieks. In conclusion of the brief proceedings, I hereby declare the defendant, Barak Van Zieks, not guilty.
That's it. Finally.
That is all. Court is adjourned.
Alright. So, we're like an hour into this already, so I think I'm gonna end it here. Because there are definitely a lot of stuff that's left to talk about. And, well, I figure let's end things next time. It's like the 90th episode, and well, I have a lot to say, a lot to think about, you know. So, yeah. It is now, if I go to the time here, 3:17. So I might record this like tonight, legitimately tonight, because there's not a lot of stuff left. Okay, there's some stuff, but it's not a lot. So, I will save and end things here. So, next time will be the final episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll see you all next time.